Karugan by T.J.E. Hostetter. I used to think that in my line of work, I would most likely die at the hands of a criminal, or maybe, if I got good enough, a mob hitman. Such fates would have been far, far more merciful than the cruel madness that consumes my every waking moment. I can feel it coming for me in my dreams. Its intentions are not something I can understand, and even if I learned, I think it would tear apart what's left of my soul. I am telling you this as a warning. If you value your life or your mental health, you will listen and you will dispel any reckless courage or foolishness you may have. It was June 12th, 1962. The morning started as mundane as any other, but there was reason to believe that this day would be different, as I had a case that would take me off the eastern coast of Mexico. I was hired by a concerned husband to go in search of his wife and son. As he told me 2 days prior, they were part of an archaeological team that had uncovered the location of what they believed to be a fresh new site of forgotten history. History that should have stayed forgotten. On the day of my departure from San Diego, I borrowed a seaplane from my Uncle George and followed the information I was given. The trip was harsh, and as I drew closer to my destination, it became stormy. Vision was limited, and there was not a moment without a cry of thunder. But sure enough, I found the island. The beach I landed on looked like the ground was made of raw tar, leading to the jungle habitat that was the island. A wretched stink of the mucky waters filled my surroundings, and there was no sign that humans had ever touched this place, except for a single lighthouse, which had been taken over by age, though I couldn't tell if it had been damaged over time or if its construction was never finished. The outside of the lighthouse was in far better condition than on the inside. Stepping into it, I found that all the wooden walls and floors were torn up by what looked like the work of wild animals, except most of the claw markings had been carved into strange symbols in some unknown language, which I'm glad I could not read. I noticed one carving on the ravaged walls. It resembled humanoid cat creatures standing beneath a bird of some kind. Leaving the lighthouse, I wandered into the island, calling out for the archaeologists, but getting no response. It wasn't until close to sundown that I discovered the base camp. Under the dark trees, several tents, and the people inside them, were torn asunder, their bodies horribly mutilated, some so extreme that it was impossible to figure out who they once were. I could make out the wife and son, but only barely. Held in the son's hands, I found a blood-stained but intact journal. A majority of the content was what one would expect from a journal, a collection of day-to-day life events, not very different from my own. However, his entries started to become more and more terrifying, as though he experienced something that shattered his entire hold on reality. 2 words came to my attention, and they were next to the same symbols from the lighthouse. The word, or perhaps in this case, the name Gavada, was written next to a drawing of the cat creatures, and the bird symbol held the strange name, one that I wish I could, but will never forget. It read, Karugan. Turning the pages, the last one I could bear to read, written with all the horrors of an innocent soul driven mad, were these words, "It knows my name." I couldn't take it anymore and left the base camp. However, I made one dangerous mistake. I did not map out my steps or leave any means of finding my way back to my plane. When the sun disappeared and the moon was my only light, they came for me. The first thing I saw was the glowing red eyes peering through the darkness of the trees. They stared at me, peering into my soul. They were windows into the horrors beyond this world, and into the depths of the nightmarish realms. Then I could see its silhouette. That's all I could see, all I could handle seeing. More eyes and more silhouettes appeared and drew closer to me, dozens of them. Their odd shape was similar to a humanoid bobcat. The growls they started emitting sounded like knives obnoxiously rubbing against tree bark. They started to pursue me. I ran aimlessly like a blind man lost in the eternal darkness of the jungle. What happened next? I don't know if it's cruel fate or just the worst of chance. As I ran, I stumbled upon a clearing with a pyramid, or at least I would call it that. Its design was unlike anything I had ever seen, a design that I swear no human could possibly achieve. The stones looked like they were made of smooth obsidian cubes and orbs. Strange spikes were sticking out, and there were holes in random spots. Just as I felt the bobcat monsters draw closer to me, a loud sound broke the air. I can only describe it as the roar of a dead whale. The wind got hard and violent, and the creatures stopped their pursuit of me. I wish they had finished what they had started, however. As I looked up, what I saw, landing on the top of the obsidian pyramid, casting a shadow over it, eclipsing the moonlight. I do not know if there are words to describe such a sight, but if I had to try to put this horror into words, what I saw was a massive bird-like creature. It had two hideous exoskeletal bat-like wings with crab claws jutting out of them, spikes protruding from its shoulders of its bulbous body, and looked like a mass of writhing worms. Its head looked like that of a nightmarish, deformed cobra's, and its eyes, those maddening yellow eyes. It looked upon me with a horrible hissing sound, and then I heard it. I heard it call my name. It knew my name. It knows my name. What followed? I don't remember. Darkness filled my eyes, my mind. I totally blacked out from all the horror. The last thing I recall was opening my eyes in the seaplane adrift with no fuel left. I was rescued by a fishing boat hours later and made my way home. I never told the husband what had happened, for I knew not what he might do if he learned of his family's fate. I read in the paper weeks later that he had hung himself out of grief and not knowing what had happened to his family. At first, I thought I could leave it behind, but I can't. I can't go out at night because I still feel it. Every night, I feel this monster in the air. It's hunting me. I know it. When I lay down in my bed, I can see its eyes staring at me through the bars of my window. Every time I see the silhouette of a common raven in my window, I see the monster. I don't know how much longer I have. I know this madness will claim me. The only hope I have in telling you this is that you will listen. Do not go looking for this monster or any like it, for there are places in this world we were not meant to go, and sights on this earth we were not meant to see.